Good afternoon. I'm Rick Banks, a faculty member at the Stanford Law School, here again for our periodic Tuesday Race Talk session. I am so delighted today to have with us a very special guest, Delency Parham, who's going to tell us about his work and the historical context in which it fits. And this is a timely project. We're going to have a lot of conversation today about the Black Panthers historically, the Black Panthers today, how we understand the group, how we should understand the group, what the implications are for our current society and for people who want to make change in society of the legacy of the Black Panthers and of those who want to carry on their legacy. I'm also delighted to have a special co-host today, Ari Andrews. Some of you may know her because part of the purpose of this program is really to bring people together across different categories and ages and so forth. We thought it'd be especially appropriate to have the older person, which is me, and the younger person, which is Ari, come together for this timely conversation about the Black Panthers. So let me introduce our guest, Delency Parham. Is from Oakland, California. He's a graduate of the University of Idaho, where he earned a BA in journalism. After graduation, he founded the People's Breakfast in Oakland, which is part of the People's Programs. He'll tell us more about that initiative. He founded that with Blake Simmons. This is a group that supports the houseless population in Oakland. In addition to storytelling, political education, and community building, he is dedicated to using his myriad skills, talents, and resources to support his family, friends, and community. Like many that came before him, including many who are part of his own family, Delency is dedicated to the advancement and liberation of all Africans and oppressed peoples. He is also the co-host, I'm proud to say, of the Hella Black podcast. Download that if you haven't. So today, welcome to our special guest, Delency Parham. Let's start, Delency, with just you introducing yourself and giving us some background on the People's Programs, the People's Breakfast, what you're doing and how you came to do
it. Yeah, thank you for the intro. What's going on? I'm Delency, North Oakland, California. Been organizing, I guess, with like intention since 2015, where I was a part of the African Black Coalition. And then after stepping away from them, I started this organization called People's Breakfast, which is now known as People's Programs, with Blake Simons. And that organization is still alive and thriving as a result of not only Blake and I's commitment, but all of our comrades. So I want to shout out Ayana, AB, Emmy, Sienna, Ty, Kelly, and Ray, which is our core team, and the rest of the community of Oakland and abroad that supports our work. People's Programs is a Black socialist organization guided by the principles and theories and practices of revolutionary Pan-Africanism. We believe in the liberation of all Black and African folks through scientific socialism. And so that stance, we are launching survival programs. The one that's most popular, I would say, is People's Breakfast Oakland, where we provide resources such as food, clothes, shoes. In collaboration with the Freedom Community Clinic, we provide medical services, eviction support, and now, as a result of kind of establishing and solidifying that one survival program, we branched out to political education, political prisoner advocacy, bail support, and other legal support. So yeah, we just trying to fill in all the voids and following the revolutionary radical practices of folks like the Black Panthers that have come before us and all the other Pan-Africans that have laid the foundation for us to do this work.
Sorry, could you say a bit? I mean, this seems very much in the tradition of the Black Panther. So I really want to note that we're going to delve deeper into that. But could you say a little bit more about what what motivated you? How did you make the transition from college to doing the work you do now? Were there turning points? Was there a point at which you made the decision that this is the path you were going to take? How did you get on this path?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my boy Blake. that's someone who has played a really big role in my political education and helping me understand the importance of the preaching of theory versus the implementation through practice. And so, like I said, me and Blake had recruited me to the African Black Coalition. And for political reasons, we stepped away from that group. And with that, we were understanding that, you know, we couldn't just be talking about it. There had to be some action to follow it. And so through our own political education, he gave me the book Revolutionary Suicide, which is the autobiography of the Black Panther co-founder, Huey P. Newton. Through that, you know, just reading all the work that they were doing, and us both spending a lot of time in West Oakland at the time, seeing a lot of encampments and poverty and squalor in that area. You know, you realize we can't just keep taking up space in this city, especially a place that I'm from, and not be providing resources for the people. We're gonna be kicking this Black radical shit and claiming Black radical theories and politics. There has to be some work aligned with it. And so understanding that as a kid who owned free lunch and free breakfast at the school I went to, you know, understanding that is only as a result of the work of the Black Panthers, realizing that if we want to start somewhere, we need to start with feeding the people, because how are you going to expect people to get behind you? How are you going to talk about a revolution if you can't keep the people fed? And so that's how People's Breakfast Oakland was founded, with the understanding that this would just be that foundational piece for us to start doing more work in alignment with radical revolutionary practices.
Okay, that's incredible. A lot of people are probably wondering that, or feeling that they might have impulses that are similar to what you had, or that what you're saying is resonating with them, but they don't really know like how to get started, or concretely like what to do. So once you've had this shift in consciousness, like what did you actually do? Like how does the program actually work on the ground? How do you pay for it? How do you fund it? I mean, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't came a long way from 2017, which is where I believe our first breakfast program actually kicked off. And that was just a result of us deciding like, all right, we're gonna feed people. And I think we like fundraised for, you know, those, I think it's like a little propane grill that you see people like outside like football games and stuff cooking with. That we fundraised for one of them, because our goal was like, literally, if you read the work of the Panthers, like if you don't have the pictures to go with it, but you read it, it's like they were really pulling up to these places and serving hot food, you know what I'm saying? And so we realized like, all right, that we just gonna do what they did. But it didn't kick off like that. I don't even think we use this propane grill to this day. But we ended up using some money via like Twitter stuff, probably like $10 or something. I don't know, it wasn't too big. It was enough to cover some of the costs, but then we actually had to come out of pocket for stuff. But we you know, we bought some eggs, some sausage, juices and water, and bought like products for hygiene packs. And like the week before, we spent canvassing West Oakland, letting folks know that we was gonna be out there serving food. And that's literally how it started. I wish it was like some elaborate ass scheme and plan that we had, and like, you know, super organized as it is now, but it wasn't. It was just like, you know, we want to do this. Let's get it cracking.
So you just kind of bootstrapping. You said we're gonna do it, and we don't have much of a plan, but we're gonna figure it out as we do it.
Yeah, luckily, like, you know, Blake had a lot of experience in organizing via his work as a Black student at Cal, and I had I had a bunch of community connections, and I had some experience as like doing like kind of high school organizing, but I wasn't really conscious of what I was doing at that time anyway. But yeah, luckily it's just experience, resources, and connections all came together, which allowed us to kick off that first program.
Did you all?
And you realize
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna.
I was gonna say, like, you go ahead. You good? You good?
It's so hard on the Zoom. Now I was gonna ask whether you all put any restrictions on it, like only people from Oakland could eat the food, only young people, anything like that, or was it just anyone who came could eat the food?
Yeah, it was for anybody. We knew we were going to set up shop where you know, these highly populated encampments were at, but you know, from day one, it was like whoever pulled up, we can get it. And we always say, you know, we want to center Black folks because, you know, we want something that's our own. And so, yeah, while we do center Black folks, we serve everybody. And while we do set up in houses and encampments, that's not all we serve because, excuse me, I think oftentimes people think about poverty and they think about the most extreme situation of you living in squalor underneath some freeway overpass, you know what I'm saying? Which is a definite reality, but there are people who are day-to-day basis, have a home, but can't afford food. You know, I was talking to my cousin the other day and he was like, yeah, I ended up moving to Livermore or something and people thought I had made it, but we didn't even have no food in our refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? So while we do center the houseless community and that's where we pull up, we serve everybody.
And how do you pay for all of this now? Are you still, I mean, who does the money come from? How do you fund it to buy the food and all of that?
We strictly crowdfunding. Every now and again, you get a grant from some organization that wants to support the work, but you know, as a result of the politics that come with the message that we preach, right? You see a lot of organizations out here that take a charitable philanthropy stance, and we have made it very clear that this is a survival program pending revolution. We are feeding people in the name of the liberation of the continent and the liberation of Africans across the diaspora. That means Africans in Oakland, Africans in Detroit, Africans in Harlem, all over, you know what I'm saying? And so when you push that politic, there's not a lot of people that want to support it. If we was out here saying, oh, we just want to be on some Black excellence, we just want to take care of our people stuff, I'm sure we would get a lot more funding from the state, like a lot of these other organizations in our city do. But the political stance that we take has kept us from getting state funding, has kept us from getting certain grants. And so we are a product of the people, which we've always been. And so, you know, it's strictly crowdfunding. You know, we post on Twitter, Instagram, you know, we got PayPals and Venmos and that's how we just raise our money from the folks that support. Luckily this summer, you know, when everybody was on their pro-Black shit and abolish the police and Black Lives Matter, you know, we've seen a surplus of donations, but of course, you know, that don't last long. So we still moving and pushing for the people. Yeah, we still moving and pushing for the people. And all of us is, you know, the general working class. Me and all my comrades work, you know, multiple jobs. And so that's how we able, prior to this year, you know, we all had to fund our own gas runs and trips to the store. We were just making it shake. But shout out to the people that do support us.
And how about the city of Oakland? I mean, you've done, you know, some great work in the city of Oakland. Have they been supportive or no?
Define supportive and define the city, because we got.
I'm saying the mayor and the administration.
Hell no. Hell no, they have not been supportive. Libby Schaaf, no damn well she don't want people's programs to exist, and neither do the others that exist out here. You know, we take up too much space. We have, and while we feed people, we tell them why I gotta feed you. There's a reason why I gotta pull up here and feed you. There's a reason why. You know, although the city has however many millions allocated to houselessness services, there's a reason why I still got to pull up and feed you. While the city has all this general, or what is it? What do they call it for homes? Low income housing. There's a reason why you, as a person with no income, is still on the street. So when you have us coming out there and at the same time serving people, telling them why we have to serve them, it's because of white supremacist capitalism. You know, the people who benefit from that, like the mayor, like these other nonprofits, you know, they're not getting behind that, because as we try to eradicate white supremacist structures, we are eradicating their whole livelihood and personhood and the people that benefit from our oppression. Yep. So no, the city don't support us, but you know, the ghettos do, and that's what I do it for.
Let me raise the question that's implicit in a lot of what you said is what political tradition is this a part of? Do you like situate yourself in a type of political thought or political activism?
Hell yeah. I'm anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-colonization. I'm anti-white supremacy. And so, yeah, that's the political stance that we take.
And which one of those, when you say that, you know, I'm hearing Black Panthers, I'm hearing some Malcolm X, I'm hearing some Marcus Garvey, I'm hearing a lot of different echoes in there.
Yeah, all the great revolutionaries, all the great Pan-Africanists. That's who has shaped me and my comrades. And so like this stuff that I'm preaching to y'all, saying my thoughts, these are stuff that I didn't got out of books. I told y'all, Revolutionary Suicide, Assata Shakur, We Are All Liberators by Jalil Muntakim, which the class kicks off today, and I think everybody should take that. I don't know if we got a little chat here or we can link to that, but that would be ideal. Do the folks who are watching this, do they have access to the chat?
They do. Yep. We can, whatever you put in the chat,
so
Blake,
I know, yeah. Blake, I know you're listening. Go ahead and drop the link to Jalil Muntakim's class that starts today on We Are All Liberators. If you're trying to get free, you definitely need to tap in. And so, yeah, that's the stuff. These are not my own thoughts. I'm a product of all the folks that have come before me that have done the work. And I'm just striving, me and my comrades are just striving to hopefully be half the people that they were.
Yep. Wow. And were you inspired in particular though by the Black Panthers?
Without question. Like I said, revolutionary suicide was like, I think we all got these moments in our lives where like there's a shift in consciousness, which leads to a shift in the way that you maneuver through the world. And revolutionary suicide was that for me. And also getting hit to other Panthers and folks a part of the liberation movement like Jalil Muntakim, like Assata Shakur, like you know, like those are the people who have definitely shaped my politics and who I learn from, and who the traditions that I follow each day. Try to, at least to the best ability. I think so often, you know, people try to, anytime you start feeding people and you start talking some pro-Black shit, they bring up the Panthers, which people need to stop doing. Yeah. Like 1000%. People's programs are not the Black Panthers, period, point blank. And we just got to be careful about how we invoke their practices and names, because they took advocacy and action to another level. I am not out there patrolling the streets of Oakland and making sure that the police do not brutalize my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out there shooting back at the police. I cannot invoke the names of the Panthers as I do this work. I can say that I'm guiding them, but there should be no point in time that my work should be, as far as impact, it should be linked to theirs, because it's just not, it's reductionist. And that's something that I hate seeing, something that I try to be super aware of. I've had people write articles on me and Blake as a result of the podcast and as a result of the work that we do. And I got to tell them, like, change the title. We are not the new Black Panthers, period, point blank. And folks just got to be careful with that. And like I said, I'm working so that I can reach the height of advocacy and action, but I'm not there yet.
Okay. And we were talking earlier about how people now, while there's a lot of talk about the Black Panthers, there's also a lot of misunderstanding and misappropriation of the Black Panthers by conservatives, liberals on all sides. Could you say a little more about that? How people misunderstand or misremember the Black Panthers?
It's a lot of reduction on both sides. So like on the quote unquote right, you see them reduced to gunslinging extremists, and on the left, you see it reduced to academics and the liberal standpoints that they take. And it's like, nah, they was all of that and more. And so I just think that as we continue to analyze them, the only way that we can truly honor them and follow in their steps are to look at them in their entirety. And because reducing somebody to one thing is, especially when it comes to the Panthers, a revolutionary group, is counter-revolutionary to reduce them to folks that just wore berets and stormed the state capitol. It's counter-revolutionary to reduce them to academics. Like, that's not gonna get us nowhere. The reason why they were impactful is because they had the understanding of the socioeconomic conditions of Black folks, of Africans, of the oppressed masses, while having the stomach and the heart and the spirit to sling that iron. So you got to look at them in a full capacity if we're gonna honor them and if we truly gonna follow in their footsteps.
Okay, no, that's great.
And when I mean sling an iron, I say pick up a gun. Clarity, so it ain't no misunderstanding. Sling an iron is picking up that thing, you know. Yeah. I said when I say sling an iron, I mean picking up a gun. That's what I mean.
Oh, so I understood that. Was there another meaning there?
Some people might, I don't want no misinterpretations. Period.
We have some questions from the chat that we can hop into. So one question that we have, kind of interesting. Do you plan to expand urban farming outside of Oakland? Like, is farming within your wheelhouse?
Yeah.
I think you locked up just for a minute.
Is this going to have, is it back?
Yep.
Am I back? Y'all can hear me? So the question was urban farming, right? Yeah, and so I think food sovereignty is very important in terms of liberation. Being able to know exactly what you eat and how it was cultivated, and we know what we know about colonization, that the control of cultivation and distribution of food is one of the ways that the oppressor has kept us in shackles. I think about West Oakland, Acorn, the lower bottoms, how there's no grocery store over there. And well, you got one, I think it's Mandela, and you know, I don't know too many young cats that's trying to eat quinoa and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think about the self-determination from a food lens, which is why we have people's programs. We do have a community garden, which we are able to distribute produce to the surrounding community, to folks that we have bailed out, and to support their family. So yeah, as I've come to understand the importance of self-determination, and all that it encompasses, food is definitely a part of that. And I know that food has been a way that our oppressor has kept us oppressed. So I'm all about taking that power back, being able to farm our own foods and know exactly what we put in our bodies at any time, and being able to have control over what we put into our bodies, being able to eat whatever we want. That's a part of self-determination.
Another question we have, which maybe you can just tie into like generally what it takes to contribute, but someone asked, do you think people with law degrees fit into this work? And if so, how? How can they reinforce the work already being done, especially if they don't have longstanding connections with the community they wish to support?
Pro bono work. If you can afford to do it, you should be representing people for free. You should be guiding folks when it's time for actions. Like I think about this summer when the protests and shit was popping off, we bailed out probably 30 people, you know what I'm saying? And some folks didn't have bail and gonna need legal representation. And I think about the ways that the injustice system has been crafted, you know what I'm saying? You putting public defenders are swamped with cases and don't really have the capacity to fully be present in each case. And again, advocacy and action is dangerous work. And so it's folks right now from the Ferguson protest that's in jail still. Josh, to this day, is still in jail. You know what I'm saying? So this work has legal ramifications. And so if I don't, like I said, if it's some pro bono work that could be done from students at Stanford that want to come tap in with people's programs, please come tap in because we need it. We doing legal advocacy. We trying to support political prisoners. So that's exactly where your services can be distributed.
Can y'all maybe drop a link in the chat or something, or what's the best way for people? We're getting a few questions about people wanting to tap
Blake,
in.
can you drop the links to how people can monetarily support and to volunteer forms?
Yes.
And to the other stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all of the above. Yep.
All of the above. Yeah. Another question we have is, so that's that. And then have y'all considered expanding to other cities, either by yourselves or with chapters and things like that? Someone from Antioch had a question.
Yeah, it's always under consideration, but you know, for us, we trying to be careful because scaling up can be dangerous when you speak the way that we speak, when you're part of the work that we do. But we also know that staying as small as we can, you know, we missing out on resources. So again, we've attached the volunteer form in the chat. So if you have any interest of working with us in a capacity that could possibly lead to you starting your own stuff, please do so. Like, you know, we recently partnered with Neighbor Program, which is a group out in Sacramento that's, you know, guided by the same traditions of radical and revolutionary practices as people's programs. And we recently been partnering with them and figuring stuff out. So yeah, we open to it because we are about the unification of all Africans and definitely want to liberate all oppressed peoples.
And you spoke earlier about, you know, not really wanting to be compared to the Black Panther Party, you all not really being on that scale. But do you think, you know, America could benefit from a resurgence of Black?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I answered the question wrong. My thing is like I am guided by the traditions of the Black Panthers. I just think people need to take a step back, and when they're so quick to put them in the same space as them and to say that they have the same impact as them, because that's just not what's going on here. Yes, I'm guided by people's programs, is guided by the traditions and principles and actions of the Black Panther Party. So 1000%, like we trying to kick their shit, we trying to move in the same ways that they did. We just haven't, we don't have the structures, or we don't have the measurable impact yet. And so that's why I just say, like, let's be careful of how it is completely our goal to move in the exact same manner from a survival program standpoint as the Panthers, but we just not there yet. And I think if we are saying that as a group that has fed, damn near 30,000 people, that has given free COVID tests, that has bailed out, 30 plus folks, that has advocated for political prisoners. I think if we have the understanding of our work not being nowhere near what the Panthers did, but being in their traditions, I think everybody needs to be taking that stance. And 1000%, militant actions and the implementation of survival programs and systems that show folks can divest from the state, and that the people will free the people, that the people will support the people. That is 1000% needed for us to have any conversations around the liberation of oppressed folks. So yes, the world needs Black Panthers. We don't need no more folks cosplaying as Black Panthers, taking up space as if they are Black Panthers and not doing the work. We need folks actually honoring them in their practices.
And you spoke about how the recent protests, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, caused people to donate to you all. But did it cause you all to have any shifts in the way you thought, your actions, the way you moved, anything like that?
Hell yeah, because the bail fund was not something that we had. I think that was a result of us still being young in our politics, to not understand that, when you're doing this work, people are going to go to jail, and we need to be able to have funds allocated to get them out. We need to have, bondsmen that's willing to work with us and give us deals. We need lawyers that can show up for them in court. So it 1000% shifted the way that our organization moves. Again, it was that moment of like political awakening for however many people. Some folks just chose to run with a little bit further than the performative stuff, and to do some real material work that can lead to sustainable impact and change. So yeah, it was for sure necessary. But again, you got people that use that as an opportunity to build on it and to keep really progressing, and not only the way that they see the world, but the way that they show up in the world. And you got people who was like, I'm gonna just get this here. You know what I'm saying? We got a new president. America is back, whatever they've been saying.
Which is a really good point. So you mentioned, being socialist, anti-capitalist, and all that. And I think Professor Banks kind of asked this question, but, are you like pro-voting? Are you supporting any candidates? Are you trying to put people up to represent in Congress or any of these political spaces? Or how are you thinking about that?
No, I'm anti every state structure. My bad, I don't want my laptop to die, so I had to plug it up. I'm anti every state structure. I understand that in terms of the long game that we playing, we do need to have, and it wasn't until recently, till I started reading We Are Our Own Liberators, that Jalil points out the importance of infiltrating spaces. Not the way that these people have come to understand integration, but the way that we need to be, what was the term that I just used? Infiltrating spaces. Like, a lot of folks have taken infiltration and morphed the shit into integration. It's like, now we need to be in these spaces and stirring shit up, understanding their tactics, understanding their strategies, and then bringing that back to the people, like folks like Geronimo Pratt did when he served. You know what I'm saying? Came back and taught the Panthers how to move and how to fight back against state police violence. And so I've recently come to understand the importance of infiltration, but I am not one of the people who is going to be using my power and voices to be putting myself in spaces with the same people that are oppressing me. So I haven't done, I voted for the first time, I think like 4 years ago. We had Kat Brooks was running for mayor of Oakland. And she's somebody that I've seen out in the field, front outside with us, doing protests and stuff. So that was somebody I wanted to support, but I would rather spend my time and space educating people on the ways we need to be divesting, as opposed to the ways that we need to be integrating. And so, yeah, we don't pop up candidates. We're not invested in Black police officers or, Black DAs or no shit like that, because I understand that they're just tools for the white supremacist colonial system. But you know, if that's your cup of tea, go ahead and do it. As long as after you get done voting, you know, you're doing something that's in line with you know, the actual liberation and empowerment of Black folks. And I feel like it's enough. The liberals gonna do the work to get us the crumbs of white supremacist capitalism. So I think we could be spending our time doing something a little different. Then white folks gonna make sure we you know, get that diet racism like a Joe Biden. But I don't think anybody that's talking about a Black radical stance should be doing that kind of advocacy and work. It's just your talents and time should be spent elsewhere. That was a long answer. I don't know. I hope.
No, I mean, I think that definitely leaves people wondering though what to do politically. Were there any presidential candidates that you saw had any appeal to you or no?
No, because most of the presidential candidates, from what I've understand, had a history, you know, damn near as long as a CVS receipt that I could just refer to know what type of time they was going to be on, you know, just adapting the socialist, you know, the socialist title don't make you ain't been living like a socialist your whole life. Mm-hmm. You ain't been living pro-Black your whole life. You know, you ski-weeing and shit, but just a few months ago you was slamming that gavel, throwing trans women in men's prisons. Just a few minutes ago, you had niggas fighting fires and shit, you know, and then getting out of prison and can't even get a job as a firefighter.
I don't know if everybody knows what ski-wee means. You might want to explain that.
I think it's like the little thing that Kamala Harris sorority be doing, you know. Yeah. You dunking, you hooping with Jay-Z, and then you dropping drones in the Middle East. Like, bro, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. You know, you conspiring against presidents in African countries and shit. So I don't know, like, where you really stand by what you saying. I can only go off what you do. Yeah. And so yeah, that's just where I stand on presidents. I got no love for any of them. Black, white, silver, purple, whatever gender, sexuality. I just don't fuck with them.
Okay. How about other organized, you know, movements for workers, say like labor unions and labor activists? Are those groups that you know, make common cause with?
I'm trying to, man. Like, one thing I learned from my studies in Pan-Africanism is like the unification of, you know, not the unification of class and that general working class. You know, like those are the people that we need to be building with, because we are all under the same oppressive heel. You know, them folks at Amazon and DoorDash, yeah, who getting threatened of being fired if they unionize. Like, them is the people we need to be understanding, because the same reason why they won't let your ass unionize is the same reason why we got to be out here on 23rd and MLK handing out food to houseless Black folks. And so yeah, that's what I'm on for sure, is the unification of the working class, because we all want the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's what I was wondering about. We all
sure want the same thing.
Right, because you were talking about the you know, you're kind of coming at it from a Black nationalist perspective, but then you also see that racism is actually a tool of capitalism, and that the way to undermine both is to actually unify across racial lines.
Yeah, because divide and conquer, it's like, oh, you know, I ain't got to deal with this I ain't got to deal with this Black shit because I'm white. Yeah, and you damn near barely making it too. You ain't even got no money to go get your teeth fixed, bro. You live in it what are we really talking about here? Like we all are slaves to capitalism. We all dying a slow death as a result of capitalism. So yeah, you might be less likely to be, you know, have your door kicked in while you're sleeping with your boyfriend, and they shoot, you know, into the dark and then run away when you shoot back. You might be less likely to have that happen to you. But bro, you making pennies. You was qualifying for that stimulus check just like I was. They threw your ass right back to work just like they threw us back to work in the middle of a pandemic. So our issues are the same issues.
Someone asked a question, what role does technology play in the liberation of Black people? Is it helping? Is it hurting? Is it taking jobs?
The same role that it's played in our oppression. Whether it's them pumping these mass propagandas through TVs and commercials and shit like that, or through their movies, the same way that they raid the Congo for the shit that they use to make these cell phones, the same way that they in turn build fucking self-driving cars as opposed to investing in medicine investing into our communities, the same way that they've used technology to oppress us is the same way that we'll use it to liberate ourselves. The same way that they built these AR-15s to, you know, raid the Middle East is the same way we're gonna need the AR-15s to get them up out of Oakland.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
you took a little turn there at the end.
They're gonna get my door kicked in. I don't know. But yeah, you know, that's the role that technology played. The same way, you know, they built them jail cells to you know, keep Jaleel in the hole on 23-on-1 is the same way we're gonna need them saws to bust him out. You know, it's to cut down them bars. It's all, that's what it is, man. The same way that the technology can be used to oppress you is the same way it can be used to free you. They building the factories, you know, got them folks working in, you know, mining in Africa. Come on.
People are popping off in the chat. They like what you have to say. So you all are in Oakland. Do you know of any other organizations in different cities that are kind of on the same wave as you all? Someone asked about LA specifically, but are you guys connected with others?
I don't know none. I don't know none, to be completely honest, that like has the full scope. You know, I know people that can talk a good game, but then we ain't got no programs that we could point to. Like, they don't got no relation. Like, they got a big ass following on Twitter, then they go outside and nobody in the hood know who they is. Like, they can't pull up nowhere and know. It's like the folks don't know who you are. The working class don't know who you are, and the folks living in squalor don't know who you are. And so I see a lot of that, people who might talk the same way that we talk, but they're not moving the same that we moving. Then on the opposite side, I see people that's taking a lot of action, but don't know why they're taking the action. And so I'm interested in building with folks. I think there's always like something that fall off. You'll see somebody that's in the urban farming, but they're not in it to eradicate white supremacist colonial violence. You'll see somebody that's in the advocacy of the injustice system and, you know, ending all jails, but they don't want capitalism to end. So it's just like, I can't point to no organization currently that's in the States. You know, I think I wish I had, I think it's either Nkrumah or Portray's organization, like AAPR. I wish I knew the name. Actually, I can look it up for y'all right now because I don't want to do this. Let me look them up. I'm sorry, it's gonna take me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Because y'all asked me and I want to point to some orgs that's getting shit cracking. AAPR, the All Africans People's Revolutionary Party, which was founded by Kwame Nkrumah. That's the organization that I know takes the same stances that we taking and got you know, programs to back up what they speaking.
Wow.
Someone else asked, what are the biggest challenges that you've come across when it comes to implementing political education for your own comrades as well as the community you serve?
A bunch of problems, and I was just having this conversation with my comrades the other day. I think so much that especially as a result of like Twitter, so much of education has been reduced to barking at folks. So when you combine the academy, the school structures as they already exist, and then you create a space like Twitter, like you just see yourself yelling at people so much and talking down to people and framing yourself as if you've always existed in this space of knowing. And so for me, as someone who tries to position themselves and preach as an educator, I've had to check myself on meeting people where they are and actually reassessing what it is I want for what I want to happen, and actually having the ability to contextualize things and look at things with a nuanced stance. Because so much of the way that theory is preached these days is as if it's black and white and it's 1 + 1 = 2. It's like, nah, there's a lot more context and understanding and work that has to be done for us to actually educate and shift the minds of folks. And so for me, I've been trying to be way more conscious of the way that I present information to people. Am I using layman terms? You know what I'm saying? Am I just spewing rhetoric that I've heard other people say, and I truly don't even know the meaning of it, or I don't understand the way to even break it down so that my youngest sibling can understand it. So from an educator, I'm just really trying to, from an educator lens, I'm trying to really reassess and develop better practices for getting folks to retain information. And it's hard when the stakes are so dire. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell my boy to stop using, to be patient with him to stop using homophobic language while I know, queer folks is dying at alarming rates. It's hard to tell my boy to stop being so, or to tell my sister to stop being so enamored with, the Kim Kardashians of the world when, it's hard to have that patience when I know that, they're not doing nothing for the Black community while they consistently pander around in blackface. So it's hard to have that patience, but like, that's the only way we're gonna get free is if we got that patience. And my boy Ty like to say this shit all the time. I got patience for the misguided, not for those that misguide them. And so I'm trying to take more of put more responsibility on myself for someone that's trying to take up a leadership role, that's taking up space. You feel me? I'm speaking on a Stanford webinar right now. Like, I need to acknowledge the space that I'm taking up and making sure I'm using that space in the most, lack of better words, beneficial way. So that's the stance I'm taking as an educator. And then the second half is creating the spaces that I would like to see. The folks that I need to be talking to are not on Twitter. Mm-hmm. The folks that I need to be talking to are not in this webinar right now. You know what I'm saying? So what does it look like to actually step into the spaces and build the relationships that are necessary for me to even be able to step into the space and be respected and be trusted? So the second part of that, like I said, as far as checking myself as an educator, is really doing the work that's necessary to create the conditions for learning to happen, which is why we started the community the community learning program for people's programs. And of course, shit has been slowed down, because of COVID. But I think when the world is open back up, that's something that we really gonna center is pulling up. I think like the Panthers would just have random rallies out of nowhere. You finna get this work. Like you finna get this education. We finna tell you we got pamphlets. We wasn't even, up until last weekend, we weren't even handing out pamphlets at our breakfast program. You know what I'm saying? Like missed opportunities for educating the folks. So yeah, it's creating the conditions to learn and checking the way that you're teaching people. I don't want to keep going off on tangents. My bad.
No, that's all good. Can you kind of talk about the mental health toll that this work takes? I know a lot of people really struggle with that when you're really in this work, when you're really trying to push for it. And how do you stay strong and other people that you know?
I've been having this conversation because I've been trying to figure it out as far as like the word capacity gets used so much, and that shit is a damn near a scapegoat for being lazy or not wanting to do the work. I've seen that word be so misused and weaponized and organized in spaces. The result is, if you know what you're getting yourself into, for the most part, there is gonna be no sanity, no mental health as you fight for your liberation. And we need to accept that as we do this work. And not to say that we don't need to take care of ourselves. This is why, in people's programs, we got like, I don't know what we call them, but we got like these like partnerships that we do where each week we like split up with or every 2 weeks we like a different comrade and we like check in with each other. We build with one another and we, breakfast, walks, whatever, because this is hard work and it needs to be acknowledged that it is hard, but we do have to create the conditions for us to, it's a lifetime worth of work. So you do want to have longevity, and a part of longevity is taking care of yourself, but people got to be really cautious of using mental health as a scapegoat when you're doing this work. Something I just want to acknowledge is capacity and mental health is self-care. It's just like, how we going, nigga, we ain't living anyway. Like shit, we might as well go out fighting. But yeah, you got to take care of yourself so that you can continue to pour into other people. But I think it's very important, especially like in the academy, I see it used a lot as like, oh, I'm at capacity. It was like, no, you just don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Capacity is a way to get out of it. But so yes, we should be taking care of like. Now I'm gonna get to your question. I'm gonna answer it. I look for healing in my comrades. You know what I'm saying? Building with them, because then the people I'm out there taking the risk for. I look for healing in the community, and building with them and not making everything so transactional, and try to build real relationships. Because I think once you get that love from the people that you're working with and the people that you're doing it for, which will all, I think, most of the time be simultaneous. That gives you what you need to keep going. That's how you fill up, and that's how you get that, center your mental health. But taking these long ass vacations and breaks in the name of capacity, we can't have that.
This is
Did I answer the question?
No, it's good. It was real. I appreciate.
I just will never tell you I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
I know y'all hear that shit all the time. You a teacher. I know you be getting emails like, Professor Banks, at capacity with all that's going on in the world. They stormed the Capitol at capacity. Nigga.
I did send those, but I'm Black at a predominantly white institution, so we get a pass.
That's different. I feel you, but we gotta just be conscious because like when you think Harriet Tubman was at capacity, nigga, come on. Like, niggas is out here. Geronimo Pratt was busting, slanging that iron. Jaleel was in the hole, 23-1. You don't think that nigga was at capacity? Come
on. Speaking of slinging the iron, someone asked, why, can you explain why militancy is important in this work?
I think militancy, you gotta look at it as like this overarching term. I think it's persistence, passion, dedication, commitment, to consistently show up and do the work over and over again, to have follow through, to know that as your comrades, even if you're not a part of the, because everybody ain't gonna be fighting. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't have to punch, shoot. That's not everybody's role. Some people, that's just not gonna be your role. But you do need to still be able, I still need to know that I can count on you to have your follow through. I need to know that you're gonna be at the breakfast program on time. I need to know that you're gonna make sure that the syllabus is right for the community education. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of a discipline that's needed. And that all lays the foundation for the sustainment of the movement. And then from an actual militia standpoint, whenever in the history of colonization, whenever the oppressed have started to make strides, or whenever the oppressed, quote unquote, get out of line, them crackers, them Europeans, they send in their militias, whether it's the white boy that drove across state lines with his AR-15 to shoot at protesters, whether it's, them right-wing crackers on what the 4chan, Reddit, whatever, when they be organized and you bust into their house and they got pipe bombs and shit. Like, what do you think you gonna have to do to, like, against them? You break into these, they arrest these crackers, they got vaults, literal vaults with the spinning lock that you open, and there are hundreds of thousands of 223s and 5.56s and 5.7 rounds and guns that can wrap around the city. What do you think is gonna happen when they? But you see what they did to the Capitol. Come on. That's how they finna do. That's how that shit was established, through the pillaging of people's homes. They're gonna do that same shit when it comes down to us. Shall we establish every survival program that we want? Shall we open all the farms that we want, open all the schools? Shall we get acquire the land that we want? You gotta have the means to protect it. This is America. And I wish I had the quote from Jaleel, man. Y'all need to take this class, I'm telling y'all. But it goes to say, like, this isn't about initiating the violence. It's about being able, it's literally just self-defense, because every time we've been able to get on our feet, what do they do? Or even if you're not trying to get on your feet, like I said, you could be at home sleeping with your boyfriend, watching Netflix, and they kick your shit in. And the only reason why, he was able to maybe stop Breonna from getting shot even more times and save his own life was because he bust back. And that's just the reality. Like, I know it's hard to hear. I don't like guns. I lost so many homies to gun violence. I had my boy on his 18th birthday get his shit splattered up against the wall. I done had my homie down the street down the street from his high school get smacked in front of a taco truck. I got one of my boys get shot 9 times on the freeway. I don't like guns at all. But if we talking about liberation, you got to understand what comes with it. Like, they are the violent. They are the predators. They are the ones that you have to, if you love Black people, you got to be willing to love and protect yourself. And that's just where the gun comes into play. I wish you didn't have to. Tell them to put it up and we won't even have this conversation no more. Tell them to put the guns up. We won't have to talk about guns no more. But as y'all know, that's what all their dollars go to the military, to the advancements of, drones and shit. They could drop a drone. We don't even got to be in the same state, the same country, on the same hemisphere. They just, wherever they at, dropping them. Like, that shit is inevitable. Black Wall Street. People love preaching Black capitalism and integration. Nigga, the highest form of integration that we ever seen, Martin Luther King, how did he go? the gun. You can't escape it. You can't escape it. So, if we love ourselves, we should be willing to protect ourselves. I'm happy I'm in this talk with y'all because last week Blake was kicking the same shit and they was looking like, what the fuck is he
so, you reminded me, there's so much you're bringing to mind as you talk though. And just as you were just talking, what came to mind was the, the Donald Glover video, the Childish Gambino, This Is America. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Which is, picked up on a lot of the themes you talked about. And then you also made me want to ask you, and maybe this is premature, but we do have a movie that's just about to come out. It's in the previews now. Judas and the Black Messiah. Shaka King is a director. Oakland's own Ryan Coogler is one of the producers. The movie focuses on Fred Hampton, who is someone that a lot of people maybe don't know as much about as they should. So is there anything you want to tell us in advance of people seeing the movie? Is there any context or framing you want to give us about Fred Hampton?
First off, I want to shout out Coog. I want to shout out Fred Hampton Jr. If somebody is available from people's programs to post a link to Save the Hampton House, they're fundraising money so that they can keep, the house that, Fred Sr. was murdered in. If somebody could please drop that in the chat, folks should donate to that. Man, it's Hollywood for you. I don't even know what to say because, who owns Hollywood?
Well, let's start not with the movie, but just about Fred Hampton.
About Fred? Okay.
Give us a few things that people need to know about Fred Hampton because they probably don't know much. Who is Fred Hampton? Why is he important?
He was a revolutionary. He was a freedom fighter. He was a G. You know what I'm saying? He was someone that was willing to step into the ghettos and work with the Black Peace Stones, work with the I don't know. I think it's the Gangster Disciples. I don't know my Chicago gangs.
It was like the predecessors to the Gangster Disciples. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for a fact he was messing with the Black Peace Stones and like Chief Malik and them, right? Like really able to radicalize people and get them to understand, the role that the white supremacist colonial structures have played in their oppression and the reason why they live in squalor and why they have to fight each other, why they got to kill each other in the ghettos of Chicago. That's what Fred was all about. He was someone that while he had the militancy to, pushed armed militias, he had the social economic standing and understanding of the state of Africans or Black folks in America to organize us in ways that will really lead to the implementation and the sustaining of liberation programs. And so whatever you see in the movie, whatever you've been seeing online, like I encourage y'all to really read about this man, read about the Black Peace Stones and their relationship. Excuse me, and be careful where you get your information from, because why would the oppressor, like I think about this shit all the time. I was watching, I don't know if you've seen that Netflix documentary that came out like last year on Malcolm X, and they were just interviewing all his ops. Like you interviewing the police, you interviewing snitches, you interviewing people in the nation who said that they wanted him dead. Like, of course, we're not gonna get the full story. Why would, in this current political climate, why would Hollywood fully commit to something that would awaken the consciousness of Black folks, of Africans, of white folks? Because Fred was all about rainbow coalitions. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Panthers was about. Forming coalitions with all oppressed people, no matter what your race is. And so I think we got to just understand that, there will be some, we talk about reductionism all the time. There will be some reductionism of Fred Hampton. And that's just because Hollywood will never fully get behind looking at revolutionaries in their entirety. And so, yeah, y'all just, enjoy the movie, because I think folks should watch the movie, enjoy it to the best of your ability. And I hope it encourages you to fully understand, to dive more into Fred Hampton. Like, he got a book out and shit. Like, really go learn about who he is.
Yeah. But now you were saying earlier too, you have some family members who've been involved in some of these projects, right? I mean, presumably they're trying to bring the real story, no?
Yeah, for sure. But again, the limitations of Hollywood, like the movie ain't. Like I think Fred Jr. You've seen him around. I don't know if you've been following online and stuff. Like, this is a film that he is 100% behind. Right. You know what I'm saying? I know Fred would for sure do, to the best of his ability, do right by. I'm sure everyone involved is doing to the best of their ability doing right by Fred Jr. But Hollywood comes with certain barriers that they just not gonna allow. Like I've done stuff on the largest platform in music, on the largest form of journalism, and I've seen people be like, hey, you can't say this.
Right, right.
And I wasn't even talking about the FBI being I wasn't even talking about no COINTELPRO shit. I just know the limitations behind it. And I can't, from people who have seen the movie, I've seen that kind of preach the same politics as me, I guess. I've seen them have their reservations like, some stuff was left out. And, as much as anyone, the writer, the director, the producers, the actors would want to bring something to life, that shit is still in that white man movie theater. Like, that's what we got to accept. It's in the white man's movie theater. It's on the white man streaming app. The white man funded it. Period. I don't care how many black actors in it. I don't care how many black people wrote the script. That's just what it is. The white man funded it. And the white man gonna reap the benefits of it. Warner, whoever the hell it is, Warner ain't owned by no black man.
Right. This is true.
It ain't all like, that's just the facts. And I love, I know people hate this shit when it comes to black art, like everything is seen as political, but I think it was Fred Hampton Jr. who said all things are political. So, nigga, it's by honoring Fred, we having a real critique of his shit and knowing who's distributing his life story is them crackers.
A question is, what are some films? I mean, are there any films that actually portray reality and history accurately?
No. No. Why would they? Look who owns the film industry. A bunch of people who benefit from the... No, they don't exist. And why would they? We know the power of mass media. We know the power of mass media. We know the impact that shit can have. You mean to tell me they're gonna give us, the people who benefit from our slavery, our oppression, our exploitation, is gonna give us the tools? What are we banking on? That humanity? They had 500 years to show us humanity. They ain't showed it yet. When they was hanging us from trees and cutting our damn arms off when we wasn't mining fast enough to get them these iPhones, they've had ample opportunity to show us humanity.
I think we're wrapping up. And so I want to get a last question in, but people want to know your social media, Facebook, IG, and all that to continue following you. Maybe if Blake can drop that in there, someone else. But I think a good wrap-up question, and if you have any final words, is do you think that it's possible to have a rainbow coalition today, or is America too divided and polarized?
It's possible, but it's going to take a lot of work on non-Black folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just had a situation where there's been some violence against the Asian community at the hands of Black folks in Oakland, which I think is complete. It's uncalled for. It's out of pocket. I don't fuck with it at all. But then in the same breath, you had these same people who was pushing restorative, pro-Black shit, restorative justice in the summer, pro-Black shit in the summer, are now putting out bounties with the police to catch Black men. And so it's like, again, people are ready to really do the work that needs to be done for there to be a coalition. Because the moment that these white folks, these Latinx folks, these Asian folks, and even the Black elite and Black bourgeois, Black middle class, get a minute to throw Black poor folks under the bus, they're gonna jump on that shit. And so, yeah, it's possible, but it's gonna take, them white folks reading about John Brown. It's gonna take I wish I knew like there was like some indigenous groups that the Panthers and shit used to fuck with. It's gonna take these non-Black folks reading about the folks who are already involved from their demographic in rainbow coalitions. And so it could be done, but they just gotta do some work. We'll see. And we gotta do some work too, like I said, I don't fuck with seeing elderly Asian folks being assaulted by young Black folks. So it's on me to go do something about that, to go holla at niggas. It's not on me to go give a reward to the police. That's just counterproductive and counter-revolutionary. So rainbow coalitions can exist, but the folks who are non-Black that want to be a part of these coalitions need to do some reading on the rainbow coalitions that have already existed and the role that they played in the aiding and accomplishing of the Black liberation movement.
Wow. So, Delency, you have a very acute sense of all the sort of barriers we face. How do you stay motivated given the obstacles and given the magnitude of the problems in Oakland and elsewhere?
Keep reading and understanding that the situations that I'm up against are that myself, people's programs in the community, folks that want to live by a radical tradition, understanding that the obstacles that we are up against are not unique to us, and that while the terrain may be different, if we can adjust to the terrain, we can still get to the ultimate goal, which is the liberation of all Africans and all oppressed peoples. If we can just continue to learn the terrain and follow in the footsteps of the folks that come before us. And the information is out there. Like, read We Are Our Own Liberators. Take Jalil Muntaqim's class. He was writing about this shit in the 70s, and he is predicting what happened this year, what happened last year. And so again, while the terrain has shifted, our elders and our ancestors have given us guidelines and game plans for us to reach that ultimate goal. So it's hard to be down and feeling sorry for myself or defeated when I know that, you feel me, someone like a Jalil still exists. And I know that the many political prisoners that are still being held captive today, that work not go in vain. If they can get through what they went through and still want to contribute to this shit, the least I can do is do my part. And I think that's another part, is like, I am but a piece of a puzzle. Who knows if people's programs or People's Breakfast Oakland didn't expand to my comrades in the core team, if it didn't expand to the volunteer support, if it didn't, like, who knows where this, I don't think it would have been sustainable. So understanding that you are nothing without community and that I am but a piece of the puzzle is how I stay motivated and take some pressure off myself too as well. Because if you step into this shit with a savior complex, you feel like it's all you that got to do it and you got to lead everything. It's like, nah, I'm just a piece of this. And so that's how I stay motivated, is tapping in with my comrades, being outside in the community, and keep reading, because all these things will be connected. They keep connecting. You go, okay, I understand poverty, boom, I see poverty. I understand struggle, boom, I see struggle. I understand fight. I got people fighting with me. I can keep it going. So that's just how I move. And not to say that it ain't been hard, it's been difficult for sure. I haven't been through hella shit, death threats, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Surveillance, but again, my OG just did 50. I got it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. You want to close us out?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you, Delency. One for, just bringing this energy and bringing this line of thought and work to this space for us. I know you said you're not necessarily doing this work for us to learn, but we really appreciate, what you've showed, and hopefully this really sparks some of us to go out and support you however we can. So we really appreciate you coming out for us and teaching us some things. The panel, the chat is going crazy. People really enjoyed it. People were laughing. They were enlightened. So
yeah, and I want to say, not to be like condescending, and not to say that there is a space for the academy in this, like 1000% for the college. Like, I'm a college graduate. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of people's programs is made of folks that are either still in school or have graduated or at least went to school in some capacity. There is a space for us, but it's not the space that we've been currently occupying as know-it-alls, as pawns for the ivory tower. There is a space. Like, we need to take what we learned and take that shit directly to the people. And so I'm sorry if I made it seem like there wasn't no space for the academy. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case, but it's not the space that we've been taking up in the role that we've been playing. It's a different space for us. You got to get off that ivory tower. You got to get off campus. Even the Panthers, when that shit was started in 1966 by Huey and Bobby at Lake Merritt, at Merritt College, you know what I'm saying? They was on campus learning, and then they was walking down the street to get stoplights put up in the neighborhood so black folks can stop getting hit by cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do your work in the academy. It's a space for it. Y'all got to come and y'all got to join that general working class. Y'all got to join the folks that are living in poverty. And so I want to leave that with y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on. Thank you.
Actually, let me we got a few minutes. Let me raise one more question, which your response prompted in me. Is there, you were talking about people from the academy and you know what they're doing when they leave. Do you have any ideas about what a place like Stanford or Berkeley, say, could do as an institution to sort of support the goals you have in mind?
Man, I wish my boy Blake was on here because he be having all the flame for the academy.
We're gonna have to bring Blake back. Okay, we're gonna schedule that. Okay.
Number one is, understanding the contribution to gentrification and increased police presence that you may be playing as, having these academies that are blocks away or in the middle of the ghetto. Understand that, and making sure you giving some type of resource, you're doing some type of community building with that. Give money. You see Berkeley, if you're watching this, people's programs accounts are in the chat. Slide up, give us some money, make your spaces available to us so we can have community learning education spots in there, after school programs. Make your space available. People need brick and mortar. People need spaces. And if you go as far as to opening up your dorms to houseless folks during the pandemic when your shit is at 5% capacity anyway. And so that's what you could do. Start volunteering, start tutoring. If you're a student, pro bono legal services, whatever resource you got, give it to the people.
That's a great note to end on, man. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, which, I want this to be not just a start of a conversation, but an ongoing conversation that we can continue in different ways over time. And I'm just so appreciative of the work you're doing, the intensity, commitment that you bring to it. And I'm sure that that's proving informational and inspiring to a lot of people who are listening today and who are also listening to the recording that we're going to post. So thank you so much.
Yeah, shout out to my comrades. I-City, stand up.
Okay, that is the end of today's program.
Do I log off now?
Yep, we're out.